I'm still a white belt, but I know more as a white belt than it is a black belt. There you go. There's a difference between playing martial arts. 99% of the schools play. They give a belt every month, every 2 months.
I've been a white belt for like 10 years. That's a Dunbar. Like, you gotta put your time in on the mat.
Yeah.
Be honest.
Honest.
Loyal.
Loyal.
Courteous to all, sir.
Courteous to all, sir.
Hand down.
Yes, sir.
Down.
Yes, sir.
They take kindness for weakness. One thing I don't do is I don't play.
Welcome back, folks. Today we have Rommel Dunbar with United Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, United MMA, United Boxing Academy. He does mixed martial arts. So let's take a look at what he has to say. Come on. Good evening, folks. We got Mr. Dunbar here, Rommel Dunbar. Tell us a little bit your background. What did you start first doing, getting into Jiu-Jitsu? That was the first martial art you got into, correct?
Yeah, well, that's the first one. Like I said, I did Taekwondo, but Taekwondo was something that my dad told me it's good to learn those hand movements and stuff, but not very practical for the real world. That's why I branched into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as I was 16. So I've been doing this a long time, 40-something years. So that's what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is what set me free.
What was it that got you into Jiu-Jitsu in the first place?
You know what? It was strictly for self-defense purposes, just so I could learn to defend myself, build my confidence. And the worst thing that could happen to a child is to be smart but be scared. And so one of the things my dad always told me is you got to be confident inside. You can't be intimidated by people. And so that's why I started training hard, just so I could build that internal confidence.
Started doing it full-time? Was it a part-time?
It was a part-time thing because I was just finishing up, coming out of Job Corps, and then trying to get into the workforce. And that's kind of how I met my mentor, which is Dunbar. When I was younger, he was teaching painting for the city, and that's how I met him. And it kind of changed my life, set me in another positive direction. Even though I was training, I still was really wild.
Yeah.
And then I needed that one thing that would spark me to go in that right direction.
So you took out Jiu-Jitsu at 16, and then what was next in mixed martial arts?
Mixed martial arts was Muay Thai. So that, Muay Thai was one of the things that Lorenzo Rodriguez was teaching me at El Monte and Al Stanky. So when I met them, it kind of just opened that umbrella to the hands and knees, elbows. And I was a sponge. I tell people if you have a 5-gallon bucket and you have an empty bucket, and they said you cannot touch any of it, but they give you a sponge that's like 10 feet away from you. And you're looking at it the whole time and wonder why there's a bucket full of water and an empty bucket. And in my mind, I got to be a sponge. I got to get that sponge and dip it in there and then squeeze it out and then dip it in the bucket. And as years went on, that 5-gallon bucket became empty and that became full. And that's how I knew my knowledge. That's kind of how I absorbed it.
I love that analogy. And then after Muay Thai was...
Well, boxing and Muay Thai was pretty much
together?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Al Stanky was coming out of LA to Riverside, and I got to meet Al, and we was going to El Monte twice a week, and then it kind of just snowballed from 1990. All that stuff was mixed together and just kind of
just flowed together.
Just kind of flowing. The more we trained, the more we got excited about it. The more we just kept doing it.
And so, have you did any competitions, or jiu-jitsu competitions?
Oh yeah.
Muay Thai or
yeah. So we would go up to what they call smokers back in the day in El Monte and do those Muay Thai fights. And at the Gracie Academy, we do those underground fighting. Just so happened that, back in the day, I was introduced to Al Stanky because Al was up there with Freddie Roach and Al Stanky, and we used to take all our MMA fighters in the early 90s. Oh, wow. Early 90s, 91, 92, before the UFC came out.
Oh, that was right?
Oh, yeah, we was all underground fighting up in Inglewood.
Oh yeah. Backyard fighter.
We was all doing this thing. So when the UFC came out in '93, they talking about MMA. We'd already been doing it for the last 8 or 9 years, so it wasn't nothing new to us. Once '93 hit, it was rocking and rolling because the UFC took control. Because UFC only had control of the kickboxing. And then when the UFC came in '93, now they incorporated into the commission. And now nobody could do MMA shows unless you had a license, and that's when they came down, and that's when things started to change for all of us, and it was a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. You started competing, started doing the fighting of the smokers. When did you get your black belt? Hey, Jiu-Jitsu.
Well,
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So, since I saw Stan was teaching Japanese Jiu-Jitsu and Judo, so I got my belt from him, but actually the certification of my black belt came in 2005. I had the black belt way before that, but actually the document that I got was in 2005. It was actually the federation that gave me the paperwork. Pedro Cavallo actually gave me the physical black belt. You know, because I was winning the worlds, and they didn't want me to come back to Brazil without being certified as a black belt. So they forced me to sign the documents, and then I said, look, you're gonna get me in trouble. And then I came back, and then Pedro gave me my black belt, probably like 6 months.
So nice. So you competed in Brazil, and how many times did you compete in Brazil?
Oh, about 8 or 9 times. So I went out there, I told people I want to be the best, and I'm gonna compete against the best. So I flew out there and had all my business.
You won all of them?
Yeah, I won every
Gold? Dang, I'm messing with you. That's around, what age were you when you were really competing, going out to Brazil and competing?
Well, I would say early 90s. I was banging it out. Now, I was in the gym probably 6 or 7 hours per day, 6 days a week.
Talk about commitment.
I wanted to apply it like it was my job. So I believed that people was training part-time, 2 hours here, 3 hours in. I told myself, if I approach it like a job, put in 6, 7 hours a day, I'm gonna beat anybody.
Work ethic right there.
So I had what I called the Bible. I had a book that I used to, I swam this time. I went and lifted weights this time. I ran this time. So I started tracking myself. I went to a baseball game in the early 90s. And down on the front row, I seen a guy with clipboards. And I was watching, I couldn't stand, I don't like baseball. Anyway, I was down there anyway. It was sweating out.
Sorry, baseball fans.
It was hot out there. But anyway, but the long story short, I was watching them. After the game was over, I went down there to the first row, and I said, hey, what are you doing? He's on doing stats. I said, what do you mean by that stat? He said, I'm tracking every single one of our players. This guy got out on throw at first place. This one struck out. And I keep, after 3 years, the contract's over, I get the manager all the stats, and then they said, oh no, send him back to the minors, and that stuck in my head to track myself. So I tracked everything I did, and I do a 40-yard jump, a long jump, or I went this far. Okay, so the stronger I got, the farther I could jump. The faster I got, the stronger I got. So I tracked myself. How many laps would I swim back and forth in the pool? How far would I run? I ran with the track runners at UCR. They left me in the dust. 6 months later, 9 months later, I could see them. You guys say, hey, no, you get stronger. Before we running, we could see for 45 minutes. Now I could see them. It was long distance running. I got stronger. And so I ran with runners. I swam with swimmers. I lifted with lifters. And that's why I wasn't a professional kid. I need to learn. And what I do today, all these conditioning drills is because of what I learned.
Wow.
Still to this day.
That was awesome.
I got stronger and quicker. I came up with my own theory. When I swam with swimmers, they taught me on a 4 count how to breathe.
Oh, wow.
Now you go on YouTube, they talk about the 4 count. Swimming. Come out on the 4 count. Go back down. And I learned to breathe and fight that way.
Oh, wow. Yeah, breathing is
That's the most important thing to learn how to breathe. I learned that 30 years ago. Now there's people teaching me today. And I learned that from swimmers.
When did you first open up shop and where?
1990.
Up at Van Buren?
From Van Buren. Magnolia Van Buren, right on the corner. I've been training back there since I was a kid. And I left the Taekwondo studio that I was helping out. And then I came back to the 7-Eleven store on Magnolia, right on
Magnolia,
the corner.
yes.
And the owner tapped me on the shoulder. He says, hey, don't I know you? I said, yeah. I said, train around the corner with Superman Kim. And he said, oh yeah, you ought to come and look at this little dance studio I have. And so I went over there, and I had about $800 in my pocket at the time. He wanted $750 a month and $750 deposit. And he said, all I got is $800. I said, I'll take it. He gave me the keys, and that's how it all started.
Oh, wow.
And
it was right there?
Just like that. Just like that. And he says, oh, because I remember he was younger. And so that's kind of how it started. Shag carpet, a ballet bar, a bunch of little windows in it. The studio was 900 square feet. 900, smaller than that room in there. Half of the size of that one. And And that's kind of how it all started. People was joining my clubs because of who I was and they wanted to train with me. Then I started to realize that they were a little mad at me because I was only coming to one club per day, once a week. And I realized, you know what, this isn't fair. Because when I have my logo, they want to come train with me. That's why they joined.
Yeah.
So then I told all my black belts, I said, look, when customer comes in, let them know I'm only there 1 day a week. I said, you need to take over the school because I don't feel good. All these people are joining, I'm not here 5 days a week. So that's when I decided. Carlos took over and I sold out. I consolidated Riverside into this one, and Indio got sold. So that's where I'm in today.
Okay, how many black belts have you created over
About
time?
15 black belts there.
15 black belts.
Because I'm probably one of the hardest people to get a black belt from.
I know.
It's not because they're not good enough. It's that being a black belt is not about submitting somebody. It's about your knowledge and being able to be an example to your students. And some black belts are not. They get into alcohol, they get into this, and they get into that. It's about being an example to the students and lifting them to a whole new level. And that's why it's just not about submitting somebody.
Yeah.
It's about a lifestyle. It's a
Is
lifestyle.
they putting time into the mat, like you always tell me?
You're a first degree black belt, yes. Keep that belt at home. They've been here now 2 years, Mr. Dunbar. Oh, what you told, I'm still a white belt, but I know more as a white belt than I did as a black belt. There you go. There's a difference between playing martial arts. 99% of the schools play. They give them a belt every month, every 2 months. They pay tuition. They get a new stripe. They pay $75. They give them a new colored uniform, $150. Oh, we go to a training program on Saturdays, another $150. It's all semi-line martial arts.
I've been a white belt for like 10 years.
That's
That's a Dunbar. I was like, you gotta put your time in on the mat. I'm
Yeah.
like,
People don't realize the history of the white belt. The white belt is the oldest belt. It becomes dirty and turns into a black belt. The black belt, as you can see, this is one of my newest black belts. And you see it's turning back to its original color, which is white. So the white belt becomes dirty and turns into the black. So they change positions.
Yeah.
The white belt becomes the black belt, and the black belt becomes the white belt. And that's basically the history of Jiu-Jitsu, is that shows your time, your pain, and the sacrifice you put into it. That's really what it's about.
ever since he stopped actually competing, that's when he started getting a little bit more laid back, because before, when he'll compete, that was the most toughest training sessions. When you're actually competing, you're training us, oh man, class was like 10 times harder.
I didn't realize it until some of the black belts that were here stay with me. He said, Professor, you never talked to me for 3 years. I said, what do you mean? He said, you never really talked to us. You said, line up. You did a good job. He said, you really never had a conversation. He said, oh, you're so much nicer now. It's just because I was trying to be the best, and I wanted them to be the best.
Yeah.
So and the reason why I went through that, because I said, if it's good for me,
It'll be good for them.
they take kindness for weakness. Sometimes when you're too relaxed, they take that as a form of weakness. So it's not that I try to put on this tough guy. No, I just put on a firm.
Yeah.
One thing I don't do is I don't play.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit. So I try to tell people, I'm not trying to be mean. I just want you to understand, when you come here, I'm not trying to play with you. I'm here to do a job, and you come here because you need my help. That's what I want. If I'm clowning around and not serious, they're not going to be serious. So it's important. That's all that is to be focused and serious.
So what's next for Mr.
You know,
Dunbar?
the most important thing, if I think of everything, the most important thing is when God decides to take me from this world. This is the most important thing. Will a child mention my name after I pass? If a child mentions my name, my soul's at peace. That's the most important thing. I gotta touch somebody. Remember your life, it doesn't matter how long you've been on this earth. If nobody misses you, you didn't mean nothing. If nobody's talking about you years and years down the line, your life didn't mean anything. But if a child, just one, says, you know what, I miss Mr. Dunbar. He was good to me. And he's sad every time he thinks of me. He thinks of my studio. He says, oh my God, I'm training with this other guy. It's not the same. There, now my soul's at peace. And I can move on to the next life.
Ooh, that's deep.
I touched my life. A young man came in and brought me a letter. He had a suit on, everything. I thought he was going to attack me. He was looking at me and he says, are you Master Dunbar, you remember me? And I kind of stepped back. He was kind of looking serious. So he reached in his jacket and I got real close to him because I didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
I put out an envelope and he gave it to me. Oh, the letter. It was everything I'd done because he just got out of law school. He said, trying to get a black belt from you was the worst thing I ever did in my life. But you told me I want you to take everything you learned from me and go on to college. Because how I trained you, you can shift gears. Take all that mental stuff that you tried to become a champion and shift it onto what your law now. He says, man, it took me through. He said, I flew through like that. He said, my mom's in the car crying. I said, she won't come out. She's hysterical because I just got my law. I just passed the bar. We wanted to come down. We wanted to find you and thank you for what you did for me and my family. And that, I almost started crying. I'm not even crying. And it hurt. I mean, I felt that in my heart. And he hugged me and he wouldn't let go of me. Hugged me for about 3 or 4 minutes. And I never seen him again. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I was ready to go. I was ready to pass at that moment because I knew that he was 8 years old. And he trained all the way up until he was 15. And then he disappeared. And then he came back 10, 12 years later. Grown-ass man this big. And that's what I'm talking about.
Wow,
that's why I know when I started and got serious in 1981, I knew that I was left on this earth for a reason, to touch people's lives, along with chasing my own dream. My own dream was to be a world champion. My own dream was to have my own facility. I was able to accomplish that. When I touch people's lives, and somebody comes up and hugs me, and they don't want no money from me. They're not asking me to buy them anything. Yeah. They're not asking me, well, can you take me over here? They're not asking me, just thanking me for spending time with them and building their confidence to grow and become a young lady or young lady.
Living with purpose right there.
That's what makes me happy. Parents need to invest in their kids when they're 5 years old. Don't rely on someone else to raise your kid. Invest in them. The same way we pay for car insurance. We spend millions of dollars a year on car insurance. Why? In case somebody runs into us, we know they're going to take care of us physically and take care of our vehicle. What is the same when you invest in your child? You are investing in when your child walks out of your house at 18 years old. Now you look back and you say, my God, look at my daughter and son. I am so proud of them. They're off and they're ready to go chase the world. They're on their own, but that only happens when you're investing in them when they're 5 years old. Martial arts at a good quality school is where it's like going to college and getting a scholarship. Because what you invest in, or your child is going to grow physically and mentally. He's going to walk down the hallway at 6 years old and be confident. He got his little backpack on. He's got his little books. He got little glasses on. And he knows that. Don't put your hands on me. Wow. I'm here to learn, but if you put your hands on me, that's what we call self-defense, combat self-defense.
Not a bully.
Not a bully. Every day somebody comes in and says, my child's getting bullied. Invest in your child. Invest in your child.
I love the way you put it.
You got a brand new car. Why don't you spend some money on your child, find a good quality program, and invest in your child's future? Because if you don't do that, shame on you when your child's 13, 14, and he's running home and he don't want to go back to school because somebody's bothering him.
Ooh, I love that. You changed. That's a whole boom in my mind right now.
It's an investment. It's an investment, and it pays off. Your kids you sit back, confident, and your son says, "Son, how you doing? Oh yeah, Dad, I'm good." He's 13 years old. I'm good. I have no problems. I'll see that. You know your child can walk down that hallway and be confident, and you know if he has to defend himself, he can, and you know that person. I'll tell you a really quick story. I had a young man that came to my studio at 13 years old in Canyon Springs. They picked him up and put him in the dumpster, put a lock on him. He's screaming in there for 15 minutes. The fire department went down and cut the locks off. The mom, they brought him down here, crying, screaming. I thought they was attacking the parking lot, jumped out of the counter and ran outside. But she was so scared for her son. He was scared to death. It took me 3 years. 3 years. In his senior year, his hair changed. His clothes changed. His swagger changed. That's a young man, yeah, Mr. I'm good. 6 months later, somebody attacked him at school. Swept him down, got in the rear naked truck and whispered to him. Whispered to the kid, I don't want to fight. It's okay, well, let me go. So now the gang kid stood up. Everybody saying, what happened? The gang kid said, oh, he don't want to fight. I said, what happens now? Every day he sees him down the hallway.
That's
respect.
Awesome.
It's not about putting somebody to sleep. It's not about beating the person down. It's about that kid realize, oh,
humbling him.
He humbled that kid. And the kid says, well, either he says okay or he puts him to sleep. And that's what we're teaching. Not bullying.
Yeah.
respect.
Love that.
They love that. That's the most important.
So I love that. Now, thank you again, Mr. Dunbar, for your
Thank
time.
you. No, I appreciate you guys.
And then if you guys are in the Inland Empire, you guys have kids, even adults. Adults want to do boxing, jiu-jitsu, click the link below, follow. Mr. Dunbar will be proudly to show you around and tell you what he has to offer.